The following is a CNN special report.
"16 kids.
My mom, she took a little bit of extra time getting me prepared for the day.
The children were facing President Bush and myself.
School kids with a front row to history.
Good morning.
When he walked in a room, I was like, oh my gosh, that's him.
This is actually the president.
I could touch him if I wanted to reach out.
Until the unimaginable happened.
A plane has crashed into one of the towers there. We are efforting.
Innocence lost.
Join me in a moment of silence.
And they just kept saying, a terrorist attack, a terrorist attack.
20 years later.
So you think that that day affected your life, who you are today?
I wanted to leave Sarasota after high school.
Not many people would have thought I would have become a cop.
I've had my stumbles, I've been to prison twice.
It's always gonna be a part of our lives.
There was only 16 of us with him. We get to be the people that tell the story.
Tonight, their stories in a CNN special report. Front row to history. The 9/11 classroom.
Hello, I'm Victor Blackwell. Most of us remember where we were on September 11th, 2001. I was in college, and I remember clearly walking into class and seeing my professor fixated on a TV. His hand was over his mouth. And I looked at the TV and I saw smoke billowing from a skyscraper. At that moment, that was all I knew. I also remember seeing the president surrounded by young school kids that morning. We later learned that President George W. Bush got word of the first plane that crashed into the World Trade Center as he was on his way to visit a classroom in Sarasota, Florida. He was there to honor a second grade class for their academic achievements. The President of the United States, and they were starstruck. Then Andy Card walked in, and the image of the then White House Chief of Staff whispering to the president that a second plane had hit the World Trade Center as those children watched is still haunting 20 years later. Those students are now 27 years old, and I wondered whatever happened to those kids and their teacher. Do they remember that day? How do they feel 2 decades later about their connection to one of the most terrifying and consequential events in American history?
The day I discovered that the White House was coming to Emmett E. Booker, I was sworn to secrecy. So imagine I had to, for 3 months, as much as I talk.
The earliest memory I have of that is we were in front of a blackboard. We're being told that our reading comprehension grade went from, I think it was from a D, and then we bumped it up to a B or maybe an A. As a result of that, the President of the United States would be coming out to visit us. We'd be congratulated.
What we find is a good curriculum based upon the science of reading.
President Bush was pushing his No Child Left Behind education reform bill. This was going to be a stop to meet with the students and then have a roundtable discussion with, educators.
When I was told that I was the host teacher, I was like, ooh, this is getting real.
How are you?
My 16 little ones are gonna be in the presence of the president. How cool is that? How special is that? It was quite a big thing, quite a big thing. This is Emmett E. Booker School, across the tracks, okay, in Newtown. We were not the popular school in the district. They did so well that President Bush had to come here to see them. We didn't have to go to him, he came to us.
Why do you think you did so well?
I think it's mainly because they wanted better for us students at the time, and they put their blood, sweat, and tears into us.
What I remember the most is just the love that was in that classroom with my classmates, the teacher, just the whole school.
When did you arrive?
We arrived the night before.
Do you know why you came in the night before?
I think he might have been having dinner with his brother, maybe.
I found out the night before.
And what did you think once you heard it?
I was like, what? I was gonna be in the class to read to the president, and I didn't know what that meant.
I was definitely excited. I was dancing around in the living room. I was competitive, so I always felt like the president's coming. I can show off my skills a little bit. I'm a fast reader.
How was the preparation for a teacher? The president is coming to your classroom.
It was easy because we didn't change anything we normally do. M.E. Booker is one of the best kept secrets in Sarasota County. Because what you see is what we do every day.
What time does the day start on September 11th for you?
Around 6 a.m. I remember loading up the press pool in a smaller motorcade and being, casual. It was pretty warm that day.
Come on.
And the president went for a jog at a local golf course.
We'll talk about tax cuts. Not right now. I am going to talk about education, though.
I got ready at my grandmother's house that morning. She ironed my clothes, breakfast, everything.
My parents made sure I got a haircut, clean uniform.
I was waiting with the press pool out on the golf course while the president was running. I got stung by a bee. But I told the doctor, that kind of hurts. And he goes, okay, don't worry about it. I've got it in the medical unit on board Air Force One. And I have to say, I never thought about it again.
I was running late at the time. And the moment I got in Mrs. Daniels' class, there was a lot more people than there normally is in there.
We had to show up on time, and if we didn't, the Secret Service wouldn't allow us in. We actually missed like 1 or 2 of our classmates who weren't able to make it in time.
And then we loaded back up and got back to the hotel, and that was a quick change. And it was time to get the press pool back into the vans.
When we got to school, it was like Secret Service everywhere. And I'm like, why are all these people here?
They're like, we need to check your bags. When you're 7, it's like, okay, what is happening? My mom tells her that I told her the men in black were at my school.
There were people on horses, there were people in cars. Funny thing is, there were actually people in trees.
They were very discreet about some things I, to this day, don't even know happened in my classroom. I found out afterwards. Security was in the rafters. There was security in the restroom. My desk was searched, my home, my family, everything.
The motorcade as we left the hotel was a very sort of casual loading up. Was handing newspaper clips out, press were grabbing laptops and cameras and things. It was a very normal start to a day with the president.
Was the president looking forward to this?
Yeah, absolutely. He was in a great mood. He thought we'd have a good event and then head home.
I'm the first one in my classroom. I made sure all the chairs were straight, making sure he had his seat ready, the books are ready.
I remember that they told us we weren't allowed to turn around because there was all these cameras. I was very hyper, did not like to sit still.
Everybody's vying for a space to get the best angle, the best shot.
I think we set out around 8 a.m. or something like that for the school.
We were in here talking and, I'm trying to keep them entertained and we're having a good time, a normal day with the exception of, why are all these people on campus? Who are these people?
This just in, you were looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there.
We were getting very close to the elementary school, and everyone's pager started, buzzing.
How are you? How's everybody doing?
Please step outside.
We'll talk about it later.
Take me back to the beginning. Give me the story of Sarasota.
1921, Sarasota succeeded from Manatee County. It wasn't but 10, 12,000 people in this end of the county at that time. Now this is Myrtle Street. This is the northern boundary of the colored section.
The colored section?
Yeah, this is what we were. We were gonna be servants. We was gonna be the service employees, and that's all we got now. We have very little manufacturing, very little technical stuff. They was going to be the playground for the wealthy, and they was going to cater to banks and sun, sand, and fun. This is the story of our community.
How has Sarasota changed?
Not much.
Really?
Not much. Because we are still a service-based community. We still are rather impoverished.
When you found out the president was here for the reading
class, yes.
The reading class,
Yes.
What did you think about the school, about the accomplishment and his acknowledgement?
It was a proud moment for me. We have outstanding teachers.
Bye, my love. I'll see you.
Ms. Daniels is the reason why the president came, because of her program and her success.
What's it feel like to be back in this room? Although it's different, what's it feel like?
I started here in 1993. This is my starting school. This is my home.
Read, 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 read.
The teachers were here day and night, reading, teaching, reading, but they did the hard work and they made the gains. And that's why President Bush was here, to congratulate them.
The principal of this school asked you to greet the president.
I knew I didn't have to do anything but to say hello, shake a few hands. So I was pretty much calm at that point in time.
When did things change that morning on the way in?
We were getting very close to the elementary school, and everyone's pager started, buzzing. We get these notes from the White House Situation Room that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center.
The motorcade probably arrived around 8:35, 8:40-ish.
The motorcade turned into Emma E. Booker. What happened once the car stopped and the president stepped out?
I've never seen people jump out of a motorcade all up and down the line from all the cars so quickly. And it was the president's senior aides running to tell the president what had happened.
When he first arrived, we didn't immediately greet him at that point in time. They said he needs to take this call.
The president comes into the hold room. Everyone was trying to gather information. Pages from the White House Situation Room were coming in with additional information.
Good morning.
Did you know by the time that he came in what had happened in New York?
No, we did not. The only thing that we knew was that it was something important and something was happening.
What was your impression?
He was very relaxed, very reserved, but very present.
Great to meet everybody.
What did you expect a president to look like or be?
It was kind of weird. I had this kind of kingly, regal, expectation. I mean, I'm 7 years old, so I still have a bit of an imagination. I'm thinking a man with a crown walking in. But no, it was nice to see that's the man, that's the leader of our country. A simple man at the end of the day.
I just remember him being very nice, welcoming. It wasn't nerve-wracking, or he didn't seem intimidating or anything. Honestly, what I expected.
I remember us standing up, him greeting us, maybe shook a few hands.
Shook Lazarus' hand.
Shook Lazarus' hand.
Then he started talking, I think it was either to Dynasty, Natalia, and Mariah about his dogs and daughters.
Chantal, the image of you with your hand over your heart. Do you remember why your hand was over your heart?
I remember when he walked in being starstruck because I was like, oh my gosh, that's him. Like, and like kind of like being a little flustered. And I've got this like cheesy grin on my face, and my hand is like over my heart, you know, when you do the Pledge of Allegiance. He's important, like.
I had given them lessons on who the president was, what the president does, and why he's coming to meet you. Because I wanted to be as authentic and as real as they are. They were beautiful kids at that time. The next thing that happened is they sat down and we went right into the lesson.
What was the lesson that day?
Everybody together, the pet goat.
When we return,
All I could see was this man coming towards the president. And I'm thinking, who is this? Why is this happening?
As the motorcade arrives and the president comes into this room, the hold room, the pool goes separately, the press pool, and goes straight to the classroom to set up in the back of the classroom. So the pool, the print reporters and the television reporters are in the back. The kids are in their chairs or on the floor in front, and then the teacher and the seat for the president are set up in the front.
This is my classroom.
And he came through this door?
This exact door.
Okay.
This is the door. I was sitting up here, book easel, President Bush's chair.
Was there a greeting that you'd rehearsed with the class when the president
No.
walked in?
There was no greeting. I tried to keep it as natural as possible. Mrs. Rigel, our former principal,
She comes to the classroom all the time to observe. But when they saw him come in with her, they were a little, is this really the president?
They were very spontaneous. They knew how to behave.
Would you please stand and recognize the President of the United States?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
When the president walked in the classroom, like, we all kind of froze a little bit. Because I'm like, oh my goodness, that's George Bush. Like, that's the president.
Describe from your perspective his mood, his energy as he crosses in to meet the children.
Probably a little bit more serious than he normally would going into a classroom full of young kids.
Great to meet everybody.
But what he tried to do was convey an air of calm and excitement to be with the children. But he definitely looked like someone with more on his mind.
This is the book that the president read in Mrs. Daniels' room on 9/11. What was the lesson that day?
Everybody together, the pet goat.
Or you gonna pick your reader up from under your seat?
She had us get our books from under our seats and to open it up to the right page. And then, of course, Ms. Daniels will always start off by saying, "Get ready."
Get ready. The pet goat. Yes, the pet goat.
And then she would tap her stick, her reading stick, and then we would start. She told us to start reading.
Get ready.
That was a pencil.
Go on.
There's a little pencil to keep the beat.
I don't remember like being anxious about reading. It was like walking. We just like knew what to do, and we were like wanted to show it off.
A lot of people say, you know, you guys look so good and so well mannered, but that was every day. Like Miss Daniels drove a tight ship. So it wasn't for the president. That was every day.
What's behind the word said? Comma. And what does that comma mean? Slow down. Let's read that sentence again. Get
We
ready.
were good at it, so it wasn't nothing to be nervous about.
That was not a performance.
No.
Oh, no. They did the work, and they were in front of the president, and they were holding their own. It was authentic, and what you saw were my babies doing what we did every single day. And I felt like a proud mama.
What was your impression of Mrs. Daniels' class?
They were loving the talk by the president. If you were around him enough, you would know by the way he smiled how much fun he was having with the kids and reading to them. So it was going really well until it wasn't.
and all I could see was this image of a man coming towards the president. And I'm thinking, who is this? Why is this happening? This should not be happening.
Thank you all for practicing.
At some point, then White House Chief of Staff Andy Card walks up to the president.
He came from the president's right into his right here, isn't it? I was standing in the back with the press, and we were whispering to each other, this is odd, this is unusual, what do you think this is?
When I saw him whisper to the president, I knew something devastating had happened.
I thought the way his facial expression turned and his face got red, I thought he had to use the bathroom. I don't know what's going on.
The president's face kind of contorted a little bit.
I was waiting for security to come and take care of the matter, but no security came.
He kind of regained his composure and continued on with, you know, the lesson and with us reading.
He was supposed to pick up the book immediately and participate with the reading lesson, but he didn't. I could feel President Bush leave the room, mentally, spiritually.
You could see he was staring off into the distance in some ways, but then trying to come back to, wait, I've got a task at hand that needs to be finished, which is I can't frighten these kids. I can't send a signal to the world. Remember, the press is filming, the TVs are rolling, sound is going. He's thinking we need to finish this off, and then I need to calmly get back into this hold room and get more information.
After we finished the lesson,
Step outside. Talk about it later.
he came back out and he shook my hand and he said, I have to leave to go address the nation.
Coming up.
I thought it was like us. I thought we did something wrong.
He was gone like whoosh, really quickly.
I, unfortunately, will be going back to Washington after my remarks.
And I couldn't believe that the day started so joyously.
Great to meet everybody.
And then it ended so tragically.
Did you find out before the president did that the country was under attack?
Yes, if I recall, I did, because the Secret Service wanted the president to leave pretty immediately. Like, we've got to get moving, because we don't know what's happening, and the President of the United States is obviously a target.
I don't think the pool knew. You were back in and out of this room, so you had different knowledge. The only thing going through my mind was, what has happened here? Like, what has happened here?
So Andy Card has come in and he's told the president leaves a few minutes later to come back into this room. They're gathering information. The president's back on the phone with communicators back in the White House.
Do you remember what you're thinking? Now your teacher's been pulled into another room, the president's leaving early.
We definitely felt like something was wrong, and we was just all trying to figure out what it was that was wrong.
I do remember like being confused because we knew that he was supposed to be with us for the whole day, and then like Miss Daniels left. Something is not right.
I needed a moment to absorb what I had been told and what I saw happening, what I found out was happening.
2 planes into the World Trade Center.
U.S. officials are saying this is an act of terrorism.
And then short remarks are quickly drafted here for him to deliver.
This is a difficult moment for America. I, unfortunately, will be going back to Washington after my remarks.
You could cut the tension with a knife.
Today, we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country. May God bless the victims, their families, and America. Thank you very much.
What do you do in that moment?
I cry, I pray, and I ask why. Why and how? I really needed a moment.
We never really see her cry, but it's like something definitely impacted her more than what we know, what was going on. It was deeper than what we seen.
We knew Ms. Daniels as loving, caring. It's a really different take from our teacher. It's kind of jarring. I mean, we've never seen her like this.
How long was your moment?
It could have been 2 minutes, it could have been 3 minutes, but I knew I had to get back to my kids.
Okay.
So I didn't want them to think that they had done something wrong. So I had to let them know it was not their fault.
Something in the way that you presented it to us like allowed me to understand that like the human side of it, that like I am not the most important person right now. Like he's got something he has to do. People are hurting. He has to leave, and that's okay, and it's not our fault.
And I think after that, that's when, you know, they cut on the TV for us.
To those Americans who are looking at these horrific pictures.
And then it all came together, like I grasped how serious it was.
I think myself and maybe other students thought it was like a movie or something.
It didn't look real.
The TV was here, you took them to a different room?
The TV, the monitor that President Bush had was in his office next door. Their memory of it might fluctuate a little. After I came out of the room, I told them what happened. The pictures and the images that they saw, they might have seen them when that door was open, but the TV never came in here. I was very careful about how much I exposed them to and what I said to them.
That was the first day I learned the word terrorist too.
Yeah.
We didn't know what the World Trade Centers were. They just kept saying a terrorist attack, a terrorist attack.
Who taught you the word terrorist? You taught the word?
I had to. There was a vocabulary word that I incorporated into our vocabulary. We're talking about days later, not the same day. I had to teach them evil can happen anywhere. It can happen in America, it can happen in other parts of the world.
Sarasota was my whole world.
Yeah.
Right, and I grew up in a family of immigrants. We're told terrorists are attacking this country, and it's a lot for me to grasp to the point that I didn't really even understand it.
You've now explained to the students what has happened in general terms. What next happens in this classroom?
Some parents wanted to come pick their kids up. My baby stayed with me. I went outside the classroom and I took a look at the parking lot, and it was like whoosh, ghost town.
I distinctly remember telling the press pool, we're going to have to run to the motorcade. I said, I'm not kidding. I know I often say that we have to move quickly. I'm not kidding. We've got to run to get in the cars with him.
We ran. We actually, you've never seen a more obedient press pool. We ran.
I'm seeing what's going on in New York, but had no idea what was going on at the schools. I'm like, okay, what's going on with my baby? What's going on with my baby?
It truly feels like it's like in a movie that you're part of, and then your son is there. You know it's safe, but you're not 100%.
When your parents came to pick you up, who remembers that first interaction with their mom or dad?
And it was just like checking on me, are you okay? So I don't think they knew what to say to us.
I did not know how to question her when I still was kind of like in shock myself.
I didn't realize how important it was until people are reaching out to me like, hey, you were in the class of 9/11, how was that? How do you feel?
Up next.
How does it feel to be connected to the day?
This is something that I've kind of been trying to work through specifically.
For a long time, I would not tell anybody that I was the host teacher for President Bush on 9/11. I wanted to keep that in because I felt guilty.
I think the guilt comes from it was something bigger than us reading that happened that day.
It's almost like a duty. It's hard to really feel any sense of pride being in that day because of what happened.
Does anyone else feel that guilt?
Yeah, definitely. Now I understand that people want to know how we feel too.
Yeah.
Like they want to know our story and how we feel because we were there, and it did affect us.
You know, I started thinking about this. What did they see on September the 11th that they carried subconsciously that will lead them to the path that they're now in?
Zuki, good boy, Zook.
I love Sarasota.
Chantel was a little princess, always cute and dainty.
That's where we got married because it's so important to me. My My parents gave up a lot for me to like be able to go to school. And so like I think that's like a different weight that you feel of, oh, I'm like a first generation American, and my parents probably did more than they'll ever tell me to like be able to put me through that experience.
What does it feel like to be connected to that day?
So I didn't realize the seriousness of it until I got older.
Mariah, quiet, go-getter.
Dribble. 1, 2, 3.
Growing up, my dream was to be in the WNBA. I have my bachelor's in exercise science. Currently working at the Boys and Girls Club. I work as a youth development professional.
Game.
Nope, you're still going, Jaden.
So I have a 6-year-old, his name is Jaden. My 2-year-old, Roman, he's super, super bright. I just enjoy working with kids every day, making them smile, inspiring them to be better people.
Majority of my students stayed on the right path, and they followed their dream. They accomplished things in life that they wanted to.
I remember as a kid saying I wanted to be a police officer.
Leonard, studious, very, very concerned about others.
I'm really into public safety. I joined the military, and then I became a police officer. The interaction with different people, business owners, the families, not everybody's life's the same. 9/11 maybe made me lean towards doing public safety work. It's a connection. I feel a part of it's like, hey, I see something that's related to 9/11. It's like, yeah, I was related to that too.
The 9/11 connection, I definitely brag about it a lot. Most people react like, dang man, boy, you a piece of history, man. Like you in the history books. I was fed with a silver spoon my whole life. Like anything I wanted, like my mom and dad would get it for me.
Tyler, there were some hiccups that he had to overcome.
I've had my stumbles, you know, I've been to prison twice. But, you know, that's stuff that I did in the past, you know, I ain't proud of it. I made my own decisions. I made my bed, I laid in it. And I'm just pushing forward.
When you open the textbook and you see the picture of the class, I mean, we were there, right? We were there as little 7-year-olds when we were watching that from a different perspective. It's hard to say how that day didn't affect us, right?
Lazaro, sweetheart, loving, determined, just a man in a little boy's body.
My parents are awesome. I call them every single day just to say hi, you know, good morning to them. And also because we run business together.
It's a dream. It's a dream, and let me tell you why. Because we couldn't have the best partner. I do the building, she do the decorations. This is a family business, and we create it with so much effort, and then when you see the result, it motivates you so much to keep going on.
It's been 20 years since that day. When you're 7 years old, you're being asked what do you want to be when you grow up. And it's always something that we ask ourselves, you know, have we lived up to what we wanted to be?
Are y'all seatbelts on?
Yes. LaDamian is quite the gentleman and very protective, very protective.
I didn't honestly think about joining the military until my 9th or 10th grade of high school. I'm actually more behind the scenes, computing data. My career to become an executive chef didn't go out as planned because once me and my wife graduated, we actually found out the day of graduation that she was pregnant with our son, Jaden. Too old for this. He told us that he had learned about 9/11 and when the president went to the school that day.
How many people you think died that day? Like lost their life?
A lot of people.
The 20-year anniversary is this year. It's a long time, man.
A real long time. We wasn't even born.
At 7, I think I wanted to be a teacher or a lawyer because I was a social butterfly because I was always talking and disrupting the class.
January, my baby. Sweet, very aware of others' feelings.
I'm very, very proud of her. She gave me Jalen.
After you was mad when you found out I was pregnant. My mom was like my annoying best friend. but I love her to pieces. I currently work at Metro Regional Youth Detention Center. People that think that youth that are incarcerated, that there's no hope for them, I would tell them that they're wrong. I see so much potential.
Do you all feel a kinship to one another?
When we see each other, it's just like no time has passed. Like, cause I don't think I've seen Dynasty since like high school.
Yeah. Dynasty, my entrepreneur, serious, determined, strong.
I always knew I wanted my own business. I enjoyed entrepreneurship, being my own boss, making my own schedule, and I also like to help other people. And then also TikTok grows people like tremendously. I help young women, aspiring entrepreneurs, start a business and then learn how to grow that business using social media online. If I can just motivate one young girl, help her believe in herself, I'm happy.
Personally, I'm just proud of everyone to see how much they've accomplished in life and the goals that they've reached.
Yeah, we had a great teacher. It wasn't just instruction, but it was genuine love.
I call her mom. She was my favorite teacher because of what she did outside the classroom. She calls me probably twice a week just to check on me, just to see how I'm doing. What teacher does that? 20 years later.
All right, babe, I think I'm just about ready. Teaching is a passion. I think teaching is also a calling. And I've been doing it now almost 30 years. Good morning, my butterflies. Morning, morning.
Miss Daniels has an attitude of overcoming whatever it takes to ensure that we are going to be okay.
I can do anything if I try. I teach my kids to sing. Singing is a part of me.
She always sings.
Yeah, you started singing. Well, that's natural. That's something I do all the time.
We were in turmoil at that time. We needed to know that a resolution would come.
When we come back.
To see the memorial in New York now, 20 years later, it will bring closure.
That day affected your life, the choices you've made, the careers you've chosen, what you've studied, who you are today?
I went to college in New York City. I wanted to leave Sarasota after high school. New York City was the natural choice for me.
This is every day for me. This is a part of my life. No matter where I am, there's something out there in the world that reminds me of 9/11. One of the things that we talked about wanting to do was going to the memorial there in New York, see it, touch it, be a part of it.
20 years later, it will bring closure.
So CNN arranged to bring the students and Mrs. Daniels to the memorial.
The name of this piece is Trying to Remember the Color of the Sky on That September Morning. These are two of the pillars that were there in the building, the tridents, the center tridents of the building. This was the last column that was standing.
Michael's prayer, Lord, take me where you want me to go. Let me meet who you want me to meet. Tell me what you want me to say and keep me out of your way.
These were the men and women who were running up the stairs, running into the buildings.
It's very grounding and everybody should go. I think it's a huge part of like our history too.
Corrections, police department, criminal justice. This is an answered prayer for me. I wanted to come to the museum, but I wanted to come with my students that were with me on 9/11. As we were looking at some of the artifacts, I thought to myself,
and yet we rise. Even though this horrific action happened, we are resilient, we push through, we come back.
It reminds me of your singing to your students that day, "Hold on, change is coming." It just seems to me like that there is a connection from that song to that moment.
Mr. President, are you aware of the reports of the plane crash in New York? Is there any talk about that?
I had to think quick on my feet to sing something because we were in turmoil. Yesterday, a man said to me, "How can you smile when your world is crumbling down?" I said, "Here's my story. When I want to cry, I take a look around and I see that I'm getting by, and I hold on. Hold on. Change is coming. Change is coming." I know they are adults now, but my memory is that U-shaped circle with my little kids sitting there reading. Hold on. You can make it. You can make it. Pigtails, ribbons, I remember everything. Don't worry about a thing. Hold on. Hold on. Change is coming. Change is coming. Hold on. Hold on. Everything will be all right.